Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kristen and this is Growing Zone 9B. So it's actually really quite chilly outside today. I am home, so I have been soaking these beans overnight. Here they are. I got a huge pot. I have already rinsed these beans off. They're super easy to do. Here's the beans from the garden. I have jars and jars of beans that I collect. It just kind of accumulates over time because they don't all come in at one time for me because I have a smaller garden. But I like to keep them in these jars. And then I have, I don't know if you can see it in there, but there's a little dry pack. And so that keeps these beans from getting icky and nasty. So our mixture today is basically some krill crowder, some black-eyed peas, and then I had some store-bought dried beans, and those were northern beans. So I am gonna go ahead and get these actually cooking. The way I cook them, super simple, is and I'm gonna share this pot. It's so big, like there's no way my fiance and I, two people, can eat like this much. Like that's insane. Like if this was all we had, yeah, we'd eat it throughout the day, but it's not. So I'm gonna share with my parents. So I wanna go ahead and get this started. So basically I just bring them to a medium-high kind of boil and I just keep them rolling. And it kind of just depends. They're definitely gonna be at least probably an hour, and I do add my flavors into my spices in that I'd like to use. And so you can add them after, however you like to do your spice. You do it your way. I like to add basically some chopped onions, some garlic. I like to put a little thyme in here. I do like smoked paprika as well because it kind of gives it that like meaty flavor, because I don't do pork, so I don't add any pork into it. So that's what we're gonna be doing. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on over at the stove and get this process started. I'm still eating on my sprouts. This is a good time of year to be utilizing your sprouts. And we are gonna go outside today because I was showing my parents yesterday that we have so much mustard greens and they're huge. Literally, I'm gonna show you what one leaf looks like compared to my person. I'm not a huge person by any means, or a large person per se, but that's a big leaf to basically have it cover your body. So I'm gonna show you how large these leaves are, and we're actually gonna cook down some greens today as well, and that's gonna go with our beans. Some people don't like greens. We like greens, so we like to eat them. I add a little bit of brown sugar into my greens, and that kind of sweetens them up, but they can be a little hard and tough on people's tummies, so I know that that's not always everybody's favorite. And today we are also out of bread, so I've got to get bread going. This is like the last of the bread. We've been eating on it, so I've got to make some bread. That's the English muffin bread, so I need to make some more of that, so go back and check that recipe out. And yeah, we just got quite a bit going on. I got dog food. Their dry kibbles are back here, so I got to put their dry kibbles up in their little container. I popped it out and we got to do that today. So a lot going on today, but we're gonna go outside. It's a gloomy day, kind of been raining a little bit, but it's nice and cool outside. And I mean, like for Florida, it's probably I think it was like 43 or 42 out, so definitely cool, and there's definitely some rain out there. So yeah, we'll go out and check it out and we'll get these beans started. All right, so we are outside, and as you can see, there's a lot of moisture on the plants. There's water just dripping off the petals. So it's been raining for sure. Here are the mustard greens. All back through here we have kale and mustards growing. There's the loofah right here. And here are more mustard greens. Do you see the size of this mustard leaf? It's insane. That's some more arugula. So yeah, let's get this picked up. And I just want to show y'all this, just how large these leaves are. It's maddening. This leaf is just ginormous. So you don't need too many of these. right, so here I am, and here is the leaf. Like, it's like bigger than me. It's huge. Like, I don't think I've ever had it. Like, if you put it up to my head, this is a massive, massive leaf. These two leaves are just ginormous. So we're not gonna need too many of these to get our meal for today, because this is crazy large. Like, I have to actually get them out of the garden just so my arugula and the other vegetables can grow, because they started just covering up my other vegetables. So this this is, I don't think I've ever actually grown mustard greens to this size. Look at that. That's crazy. So keep in mind that mustard greens will definitely cook down. So I got quite a bit here to cook for us. Like I said, I'm gonna take it over to my parents. And the garden's still doing fairly well, even though it's been much cooler, which is good. So I still have a whole bunch of sweet potatoes that I have to get through. There's the red mustard green back there, nasturtium, tomatoes. The kale has revived from Thanksgiving. It's coming back, so because I used a lot at Thanksgiving. So we're gonna go inside and get these really rinsed off and start processing our food for today. All right, so mustard greens are pretty easy to process. I just washed them off. And you're just gonna do like you do with the kale. If you go back and watch my kale video, you're just gonna rip them off this thick spine that they have. And like I said, like, you could have wraps for days, honestly, if you just ate it raw. But like I said, it's a little tough on the tummy. So, I mean, there's people that do it. I'm just not one of those people. And you just keep ripping them off, putting them into basically bite sizes, and then dropping them in your pan. Now you can use a little bit of chicken broth or some salt and some water, and just basically cook these down. If you have an Instapot, you can do it that way much quicker. I don't happen to have an Instapot, so my mom has an Instapot and my Aunt Sharon has an Instapot, but I don't. So I just throw the stems over in the sink and wait to take them out for recycle. Look at that. Like, these things are like, I don't think the camera's actually doing them justice on how big these leaves really are. And you don't have to be nice to them, you don't have to be all gentle, so just keep doing that and then put them on boil. I boil these down, like I said, with some water and some flavoring, whatever spices you like. And then you've got yourself some basically like mustard greens to add to your beans that you're gonna be making. So super simple, super easy. You don't have to have beans. Sometimes we just do mustard greens and rice. Sometimes we do kale and rice, so it's the same type of concept. So my bok choy did not really take off. It got eaten by a bunch of bugs, so we don't really have that many bok choy this year, which really I prefer bok choy over the mustard greens, because like I said, the mustard greens are a little bit tougher on the tummy. So, but nonetheless, it's food. It's organic. It came from my garden. There are no pesticides on these plants. That's a good thing about the mustard greens, is they are pretty resilient to bugs here in Florida, especially in the cooler weather, because that's when they grow best. As you can see, they were massive. If you've got livestock, I know that cows and pigs and goats love to eat these, so it makes good nutrition for them, if anything else. So if you have a farm area that you can grow these seeds are fairly cheap. You don't have to spend a lot of money on them. You can get them in bulk at Johnny's Seeds, and they do well for livestock, and it's a nice treat during this time of year. So all right, so I'll bring you guys back. Like I said, we've got other stuff to make today, so I'll bring you guys back shortly. All right, so we're gonna be also making a cherry pie today. I've been actually wanting a cherry pie. My fiance does not like cherries. He likes the flavored cherry. He just doesn't like to consume cherries, which I do. So since I'm going to my parents, I like to make them a little treat. So I'm actually just going to be using a gluten-free pie shell. We purchased these at Whole Foods. So you can make your own pie shell if you want. This is just quick and convenient, and sometimes that works best for me since I work a lot. So basically what I've done is I have 3.5 cups of frozen cherries. And then this is the brand that I'm using, Anthony's Premium Organic Tapioca Flour. I have 2 tablespoons of tapioca flour, and I've done about 1/4 of a cup of sugar because those cherries were frozen. And sometimes you lose the flavor of the cherry when you are, making desserts, because they've been frozen and that flavor's kind of gone. So I've already gone ahead and sprinkled the sugar and the tapioca flour over the top. That's about, I'd say 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm gonna go ahead and let this cook down. I have that on medium to high heat. I'm gonna pre-cook the pie shell. Some people don't pre-cook their pie shells, but I do, because this is gonna be kind of wet and tacky, and it won't take very long because basically this is already going to be cooked, and I'm just kind of like congealing everything and making sure that everything comes together. For my topping though, I'm going to actually do about what I made for my sweet potato casserole. I actually add the pecans, I add flour and melted butter, or very softened butter, and I mix it up with some sugar, some brown sugar, and you sprinkle that all over the top. That is the same concept that we're going to do here for the pie, because I don't want to I don't have another top for it. I don't do the nuts in it. I just basically do the flour. I do white sugar instead of brown sugar, and then I do butter to make a crumbled topping, and so it kind of gives it like a nice crystal kind of glaze to the top of it. It's really it's good. So it's a crumbled cherry pie is really what it comes down to. It's just without the nuts or the brown sugar. We're substituting the white sugar for it. So I'll definitely make sure that you guys have the notes down in the section for you guys to read, so that you kind of know what I followed. But a lot of times when I'm in the kitchen, I'm just cooking, and I'm not really I don't really measure. I'm not really good at measuring. I've just cooked for so long that I just do it my own way. And then in the back, oh, there goes the oven, because I still got to make bread too. So there's the mustard greens. They're starting to cook. Now mustard greens won't take very long, and they definitely cook down to half the size that you see them now. And then we have the beans that are just steaming, rolling and cooking. So you got to keep an eye on them, because you don't want to lose the water if you're cooking them in a pot like I am. If I had an Instant Pot, that's probably the route I would go. That would probably be the easiest route and the quickest to get them soft, but it's fine. I kind of like doing it old school, because it just keeps me in check and in balance, and then that way, if I had to cook it over a fire or something like that, I absolutely could. Now this is not really stuff that I would say would cook well in that sun oven that I have, so just keep that in mind. Some stuff I know, like, people really boast about that sun oven, but the sun oven's good for things like, you could definitely do like a baked potato long term. The pie would be really wet and doughy, because your oven can get pretty hot. So that's where maybe you'd want like a rocket stove or something like that, to where you could get stuff a little more crisper. So Anyway, all right, I'll bring you guys back as soon as all this is done, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take this over to my parents because they are still working on their house, and it's just nice for me to be able to give them a break and to enjoy some food from basically our garden except for the pie. So it's a nice thing. So that's what I'm saying. Always be nice to people, you know, especially your family. Love on them. Do what you can to help. If I do help my neighbors and stuff, so you know, I'll obviously have some extra. So my elderly neighbors and stuff, I'll be walking some of this over to them. So obviously we'll be getting into it before I even leave today to make sure that my neighbors have food as well, because especially my elderly neighbor whose wife died, he's diabetic, and a lot of times he just doesn't take care of himself as well as he could. And he eats out and does stuff that he just doesn't get a lot of home food now. And I understand that, especially being a man. So I try to go over there, you know, him being a man, men don't really, I can't say that, but a lot of men I know don't really do a lot of cooking. And so that's why I try to help to take care of him, because I want him to get the nutrition that he needs. So hopefully that makes sense what I'm trying to explain. So, all right, I'll bring you guys back when everything's done. All right, so the pie shell is cooked to my liking. I've gone ahead and kind of stirred this up really well. This is the cherry mixture, so you can see it's like kind of thick, but not so thick that like you can actually see it. See how it drips? There you go. So because this is going to congeal, so just pour it into your baked pie shell. And if you have leftover, you can keep it for pancakes, or you can have ice cream and some cherries. Alright, so that looks great, honestly, to me. And I've gone ahead and made the topping. So like I said, for me it was just like 1 cup of flour, like a half a cup of sugar, and a half a cup of, or half a stick of butter, which is like a half a cup. So, and that's why it's kind of white and not like brown, because I'm not using the brown sugar, I'm using the white sugar. And I'm just going to put this crumbled topping over the top of it. I think my parents might actually have my nephews tonight, so my nephews will have a lovely treat. And in that case, I should have made 2 pies, because those boys are getting big. My oldest nephew is as tall as I am. Not that I'm tall, but I'm just saying. He was a baby. He's getting to be a big boy. He's all grown up, you know, he's in middle school. So, him and his brother, Liam and Jonah, are both in middle school. So they're getting to be some big boys. So if you don't want your crust to get too burned on the sides, you can actually tint around this. And I obviously have some left over here. So if you don't want a lot of topping, then just cut what I just said in half, and then you won't have to worry about it. Alright, so you'll take some aluminum foil and just kind of tint around it, make like a bowl, and tint it, and then continue to let it bake. I have the oven set at 350 because that's what I was pre-cooking this on. So 350 for about, I would give this, you know, at least 20 minutes. I want to see the top get kind of nice and brown. I don't want it to be too soft because it is flour, and I don't really want the kids eating raw flour. So if I was really like whatever about it. I could actually just pull these sides up and kind of tint it and then allow it to continue cooking. But I kind of just want this part to get brown because, like I said, the cherries themselves, they're already done. And I can tell I've overfilled it now that I put this topping in, which I kind of thought about it and I hesitated when I was pouring it. I was like, maybe I just leave some back. But then I was like, yeah, it'll be all right. It is just for my family. This isn't for a show. So it's to show you guys that you can do it. But if you've got frozen cherries, I just think this is a great way to utilize them. Blueberries, you can do the same thing too. Add a little bit of tapioca flour. If you needed to like add a little more, I actually ended up for this recipe, I saw that the 2 tablespoons didn't appear to be enough for the amount that I used. So I went ahead and bumped it up to 4 tablespoons. So that's what I'm saying. You just kind of have to play around with food. But it's important that everyone learns and knows how to cook and gets comfortable with playing around with their own food, because you know, you may go to the store and really want a cherry pie, and instead of getting all those preservatives and stuff that you don't know about, these cherries were actually organic pre-pitted cherries. We get the bag at Costco. I'll show it to you. Here's the bag that we get. I actually just ended up finishing them off. So, you know, these are organic, sweet, dark cherries. If you don't like the dark cherries or you don't like cherries at all, like I said, get some blueberries. You could have done this actually with strawberries. You could have done this with frozen peaches. So pretty much a lot of your frozen fruit like that, you can go ahead and make something with it. You're just going to need to add the tapioca flour, because when they start to cook back down, they're just not as thick as they could be. And that's the same with me and those the apples that I had frozen. I was making some pies and I was realizing like they were super liquidy, so I needed to add some tapioca flour in it. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the oven, and like I said, for about 15 to 20 minutes. I'll just check on it. We'll see what it looks like, and then I don't think we'll be trying it right away just because it's going to be super hot, but we're going to let it cool down. And like I said, I still got the mustard greens. I got the beans over there cooking. We just got a lot going on in the kitchen today. But that's what's going on. So I will try to bring you guys back. Hopefully you will see the final of everything. But basically what you see now is what it'll look like. The greens, we can go over there and check out the greens now. They're starting to turn like a little bit of a different color, almost like a spinach color. Do you see that? So that's how they look. And basically they're done. So I can drain some of the water off if it's too much water or too much liquid. That's what we end up doing anyway. We just kind of eat them like almost like a steamed spinach almost. It's a steamed green. And then I'm just kind of waiting for those beans to cook. The beans will actually take the longest amount of time. Beans can sometimes, you gotta check beans. Beans can take like 2 hours. I've had beans take 2 hours before, especially considering that they were dry, and then I you know, added more moisture to them. So that's what we have going on in the kitchen today. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I think that I'm gonna go ahead and cut this video now. As always, love one another, be kind, and I will see you guys soon. Make sure you're getting out there in the garden and getting stuff growing. It's perfect time of year right now to be growing for us, so enjoy. Alright, y'all didn't think that I would exit a video and not actually try what I made. Well, I might at some point, but not today. We're gonna give it all a try. It's still really warm. So here's, the pie is still like actually steaming. A little bit of mustard green, and I actually added some rice into the beans, and it made like a dirty rice. It's really good. There's the pie. You can hardly even tell that I took a piece out. I'm gonna be taking it to my parents, so they don't care. They know I do YouTube, so I'll be like, I had to do it for the YouTube people. I hit that dishwasher again. Goodness gracious. It's good. It tastes like dirty rice with some beans. The mustards, I know they're good because I've already had a bite of them too. So, you know, I can't give my parents food without trying it, so. Those mustards are so good. Man, they're better than the beans and rice. I gotta give me another bite of beans and rice though. Ooh, that's good. That's Southern eating right there. All right, let's give this pie a try. I bet it's still really hot. That pie is so good because it's not too sweet. It would taste better with some like vanilla, like almond ice cream or some. I actually got some whipping cream. I could actually make some whipping cream for the top of it, but like Cool Whip or something like that, it really needs like a little bit of vanilla touch to it. That's, if you're just gonna do this pie alone, add a little bit of vanilla to it. It's good though, because you have that crumble topping, which makes it like sweet enough that you don't need a lot of sugar in the actual cherries. I love cherry pie. Cherry pie is one of my favorite pies. I like sweets, so you know. That's good. All right, I'm gonna be taking this over to my parents. So, till next time, love one another, be kind. I'll see you guys in my next video.